Hey guys, imagine this. You're 18, freezing, wearing a coat that used to be someone else's. The snow crunches louder than your breath, and somewhere in that white, silent city a sniper is watching. You just don't know from where. You haven't eaten in 2 days. You haven't slept in 3. The walls around you aren't walls anymore. They're holes, stacked bricks and burnt wallpaper. The floor? Frozen blood and broken glass. This isn't a drill. This isn't a movie. This is Stalingrad. Winter 1942. The deadliest urban battle in human history. And you're stuck in it. If you want to hear more stories like this, give it a like and subscribe. It helps us keep making them. Now close your eyes. You're not in your bed anymore. You're in a room with no windows. Your rifle's jammed, and your breath is the only warm thing left. And, just outside, there's a sound. A footstep. Then silence. You don't move. Because in Stalingrad, moving gets you killed. You don't know how long you've been here. Time doesn't work in Stalingrad. You used to measure days by sunrises. Now, it's the number of men who don't come back from patrol, the sound of mortar fire in the distance, the smell of burning flesh drifting through a snowstorm. That's your new calendar. You're in a building, or what used to be one. It doesn't have a roof anymore. Half the walls are missing. You can see the Volga River in the distance, frozen solid, a white scar through a dead city. Somewhere out there, people are still crossing it. Civilians, soldiers, supply sleds pulled by shivering dogs. Every step a gamble. If the Germans don't shell the river, the ice might crack. If the ice doesn't crack, maybe the snipers take their turn. You wrap your coat tighter. It doesn't help. The lining's torn. The buttons are gone. You found it in a pile of corpses 2 days ago. You don't think about who it was. Your boots are wet. Always wet. Your socks haven't been dry since October. You haven't felt your toes in a week. You're not sure if that means they're numb or gone. You don't check. You don't want to know. The floor beneath you is a patchwork of broken tiles, wood splinters and frozen mud. There's a smear of something red near the stairwell. It's not paint. You stepped in it earlier and didn't bother cleaning your boot. A voice behind you whispers, "Don't lean out, not even a little." You don't. You've already seen what happens when someone gets curious in this city. 1 second they're pointing at something. Next second there's a hole where their eye used to be. Snipers everywhere. German ones, Russian ones. Some of them are ghosts with scopes. Some are just scared kids with steady hands and nothing to lose. Take a slow breath. It hurts. Not like an injury. Like breathing too deeply might wake the city, and Stalingrad hates being disturbed. There's no wind today. No sound. Even the rats are quiet. They've learned. Noise gets you killed. The silence is a kind of violence. It presses in on your ears, makes you twitch at nothing, makes you imagine boots in the snow, or a rifle being cocked in the next room. The guy next to you, you think his name is Mikhail, hasn't blinked in 10 minutes. He's watching the doorway like it might come alive. You don't ask what he sees. You don't ask anything anymore. Too many questions lead to too many names. And names turn into funerals without coffins. You rest your rifle on your lap. It's old, rusted. It jammed once already. You cleared it with a knife and a prayer. No backup weapon, no extra ammo, no grenades. You have 2 rounds in your pocket, and 1 cigarette you've been saving for the moment you finally lose your mind. Your stomach growls. You ignore it. Hunger is part of the uniform now. They gave you a tin of horse meat 3 days ago. You split it with 3 other guys. Tasted like mud and regret. Somewhere below, a door creaks. You freeze. Not a movement, not a breath. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Enemy? Ali? Doesn't matter, same rule applies. Don't move. Don't speak. Don't die. Mikhail raises his rifle. You do the same. Then silence again. Just long enough to think you imagined it. Then a bottle crashes against a wall downstairs. Laughter. German voices. Drunk. Loud. You exhale. Slowly. They're not hunting. Not right now. They're celebrating something. Maybe a kill. Maybe a shipment of vodka. Maybe just surviving another day. You glance at Mikhail. He whispers, "Should have thrown the bottle sooner. Might have gotten them to come up." You nod. That's the level we're at now. War as bait. Desperation disguised as strategy. You sit back against the wall. It's cold. The brick sucks the warmth from your bones. Your breath fogs in front of you. You hold your hand up to it, just to make sure you're still here. Still alive, for now. Your thoughts start drifting. Not because you want to, because you're tired of this room. Tired of the silence. Tired of waiting. You think about your mother's soup. Not the taste, you can't remember that anymore, just the colour. It was warm, yellowish, had chunks. Potatoes, maybe. You think about the train that brought you here. How people were packed in like firewood. How someone died 2 feet away from you. How no one moved the body for 6 hours. You think about the posters on the walls. Smiling women holding rifles. Slogans about bravery and sacrifice. You want to burn them, you blink. A snowflake drifts through the broken window and lands on your wrist. You watch it melt. It feels warmer than anything else you've touched today. You hear a plane overhead. Can't see it. Could be Russian. Could be German. All you know is that it's flying over a city that used to have 2 million people in it. Now it's rats, echoes, smoke and ghosts. This isn't a city anymore. It's a battlefield with plumbing. A frozen graveyard with chimneys. And you? You're not a soldier. Not really. You're a shadow with a trigger finger. Waiting for your turn to disappear. You crawl down the stairs like they're made of broken bones. Because they are. Someone's femur is wedged into the 3rd step. Someone else's boot is still attached to a foot, but the rest of him isn't around to ask about it. You don't flinch. That reaction burned out weeks ago. Now, you just move. Carefully, quietly. Like the whole city is wired to explode if you breathe too loud. The stairwell smells like oil and old meat. You stop trying to guess where the smells come from. Sometimes it's a body. Sometimes it's dinner. Sometimes it's both. You reach the ground floor. There's no door anymore, just a jagged hole where it used to be. Outside, the snow falls like ash. Fine, relentless, dirty. Across the street is a building, 3 stories. Used to be a school, now it's a German machine gun nest. You know because you saw a guy get cut in half trying to cross that road yesterday. No warning. Just a flicker in the window, then a mist of red where his chest used to be. They didn't even stop shooting after he fell. Like they were trying to kill his shadow too. You press yourself against the wall. Listen. Wind. Distant gunfire. And beneath that voices. Close. Maybe around the corner, maybe in your head. You peek. Street's empty. But empty doesn't mean safe. Empty just means it's not your turn yet. You motion to the guy behind you, Yuri, or maybe Oleg. You don't remember. He nods. You both move. Fast. Low. Silent. Every step on the rubble sounds too loud. Your heartbeat sounds too loud. Even your breath feels like a signal flare. Halfway across you hear it. A metallic click. Too familiar. Your leg freezes mid-step. Your brain screams, "Mine." You look down. It's not a mine. It's worse. It's a tripwire. Thin. Almost invisible. You trace it with your eyes. It runs to a wall. To a door frame. To a grenade half hidden under a brick. Booby trap. Classic. You exhale so hard your ribs ache. Yuri, Oleg, whatever his name is, grabs your shoulder. His eyes say, "Keep moving." You step over the wire gently. You make it to cover. Barely. Your hands are shaking there, but only a little. Shaking is allowed, as long as you keep moving. You're behind a collapsed trolley now. Used to carry kids to school. Now it's full of bullet holes and frozen vomit. You peek through a shattered window. You see them. 2 Germans, not even 20 meters away. Smoking, relaxed, laughing at something. You raise your rifle. Steady. Your breath fogs the sight. You wipe it. Too late. They move. One steps behind a wall. The other drops his cigarette and walks out of view. You don't fire. Because one bullet gets 2 seconds of glory, then 4 minutes of hell. You've learned. Sometimes it's better to let them go. Sometimes survival means swallowing your pride and your trigger finger. Yuri's breathing hard. Too hard. You gesture. Quiet. He nods. Tries to calm it down. You're about to move again when boom. The wall behind you explodes. Dust. Shrapnel. Heat. You're lifted off the ground and thrown into the trolley. Head slams metal. Your ears ring like cathedral bells after a funeral. You can't see. Can't hear. Can't feel anything except snow in your mouth and something warm on your cheek. You blink. Blink again. Your rifle's gone. You're on your side. There's a shape next to you. Half of Yuri. The wrong half. You want to vomit. But you haven't eaten in 2 days. You crawl. No plan, no direction. Just away. Bullets start chewing up the road behind you. You roll behind a burned-out car. It doesn't help. The bullets go through the doors like paper. A sharp pain stabs your thigh. You look. Blood. Black in the moonlight. Could be a graze, could be a hole, doesn't matter. You can still crawl. And crawl you do. Your elbows bleed. Your knees are ruined. Your ribs feel like glass wrapped in skin. But you move. Because stopping in Stalingrad isn't dying. It's becoming the scenery. You reach the steps of another building. Not sure if it's friendly. Not sure if it's even standing. You don't knock. You fall through the doorway like a drunk ghost. Inside it's dark. You hear someone. Then a whisper. Password. You freeze. You don't remember the password. You say, snow. A pause. Then the whisper says, wrong. You raise your hands. Don't shoot, just let me sit. Another pause. Then a lighter flicks on. You see a face. Old. Bearded. Eyes like burnt coal. He says, lucky for you, comrade. I forgot it too. He gives you a cigarette. You light it with shaking hands. Take one drag. Cough like a dying engine. You laugh. He laughs. Outside, the city keeps burning. Inside, you've got 6 walls, 1 cigarette and no rifle. And you've just made it through another hour. Which, in Stalingrad, is the closest thing you'll ever get to victory. There's something broken inside your knee. You know it the moment you try to stand. It crunches. Not like bones, like glass under snow. Sharp, sudden, silent in the way only pain can be. You drop back down. The old man doesn't look at you. He just sips from a tin mug and stares through the cracked wall like he's watching a memory die slow. You ask, "Is it tea?" He snorts. "No." He doesn't elaborate. The floor beneath you is soaked. Not just with snowmelt, with blood maybe, or oil, or both. It smells like rust and frozen wood and boots that haven't been taken off in months. Your knee throbs again. You wrap it with a strip of shirt you tore off the guy outside. You didn't check if he was still breathing. You didn't have time. Or the stomach. You glance at the door. It's not a door anymore. Just a hole. Big enough for a man to walk through. Small enough that you'd never see the grenade until it bounced at your feet. The old man mutters, "They'll come again soon." You ask who. He doesn't answer. You check your pockets. 1 cigarette. 1 round. Half a can of tinned fat you stole from a dead German. You think about eating it. Then you smell it. Then you put it back. You ask the old man what day it is. He says, "Doesn't matter." He's right. It's always the same here. Wake up cold. Try not to die. Watch someone else fail. Go to sleep colder. You crawl toward the doorway and peek out. The street is quiet again. That fake kind of quiet. The kind that makes you think you've got time. The kind that kills people. A few buildings are still standing. Barely. Their windows are just eyes with nothing behind them. You spot a shape down the street. Could be a body. Could be bait. Could be both. You blink. It's gone. You don't mention it to the old man. You're not even sure he's real anymore. You ease yourself up, leg screaming. Every inch forward feels like it costs you something you'll never get back. You're moving toward the edge of the room when it happens. Crack. Not loud, not near, but deliberate. A sniper, far off, trying his luck. You freeze. A bird flutters off a shattered balcony. Then silence. The kind of silence that wants you dead. You drop, roll. Crawl under a table with no legs and hope the ceiling isn't next. You hear the next shot before you feel it. Crack. Closer. The wall behind you chips, dust in your mouth. You don't breathe. Breathing feels like a mistake. You wait. Count in your head. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. You move again. Slow, low, careful. Outside, the snow starts again. Thick. Heavy. Like it's trying to smother the war. You make it to the back of the building and find what used to be a staircase. Now it's a pile of bricks pretending to be a way out. You climb it anyway. Each step is a betrayal. Your knee gives once. You bite your tongue. Taste blood. Keep going. At the top there's a hole in the wall. It leads out to what used to be a balcony. You crawl through. The concrete groans under your weight. You lie flat and scan the street. That's when you see it. A flash. Just a glint. A reflection in a third-story window across the way. Then nothing. But you know what it was. Scope glass. Sniper. He's waiting. For what? Anything. Anyone stupid enough to move. You blink again and wonder, did he see you? Is he watching you right now? Does he know your name? No. Doesn't need to. He just needs you to take one more step. Stick your head up an inch too far. Turn a corner too fast. That's Stalingrad's favourite trick. It doesn't kill you in battle, it kills you between battles. When your guard slips. When your knee fails. When you think maybe, just maybe, the worst is over. You crawl back inside. You whisper to the old man, "Sniper, 3rd story, west side." He nods, doesn't even look. He says, "There's more, always more. You ask him why he hasn't left. He laughs. Left? Go where? The whole world's dying. This is just the part that knows it. You sit back down. Your rifle's still jammed. Your knife is dull. You've got no orders, no food, no idea what's supposed to happen next. All you know is this. Your first step outside, that's the one that kills you. And you're running out of steps. You wake up coughing. Not from sickness, not from dust, from the taste. It's everywhere in your throat, your teeth, your lungs. Ash, burnt paper, burnt food, burnt flesh. There's no smoke in the room, but you can still feel it. That invisible layer clinging to the back of your mouth like it belongs there. The old man is gone. No note, no noise, no goodbye. Just gone. You sit up slowly. Your knee screams again. You ignore it. Pain means you're still here. The floorboards creak under your boots. They shouldn't. Too loud. Too risky. You grab your rifle. Still jammed. You don't have the tools to fix it. You barely have the strength to hold it. But you carry it anyway. Because walking without a weapon in Stalingrad is like painting a target on your chest with your own blood. You move to the window. The street below is the same as yesterday. Which is to say, ruined, frozen, abandoned, and watched. There's a tram flipped on its side. Its wires dangle like veins from the poles. There's a dog underneath it. Dead. Or pretending to be. Farther down, a pile of bricks is shaped like a barricade. But you know better. There's nothing behind it. Just corpses. The ash hits your nose again. You pull your scarf up. Doesn't help. Your mouth still tastes like smoke and iron and everything that used to be human. You think about water. Clean water. Cold, clear, drinkable water. You'd trade your rifle for a cup right now. Hell, you'd trade your boots, your coat, maybe even your name. There's a rumour that one of the buildings near the Red October factory has a working pump. You don't believe it. But belief isn't required, just desperation. You slip through the door, onto the street. No birds. No footsteps. Just that awful, grinding silence that sits on your shoulders like it wants to be your commander. You step over a helmet. German. Bullet hole dead centre. Whoever wore it didn't have time to duck. You keep moving. The snow crunches beneath your feet. Not loud, but louder than you'd like. Every step sounds like a confession. There's smoke coming from a third-story window down the block. Thin, dark. Could be a stove. Could be someone cooking a rat. Could be a signal. You don't investigate. You pass a wall covered in Soviet posters. The faces are smiling. Bright red backgrounds. Slogans about courage and sacrifice and the motherland's eternal spirit. You spit on the wall. The spit freezes before it hits the ground. You cross into a side alley. Narrow, twisting. It smells worse here, like rot with a hint of diesel. You pass what used to be a child's sled. There's a severed hand still tied to it by the wrist. You don't look twice. The ash hits again, harder this time. You cough into your sleeve. Black mucus. Your lungs are giving up one cell at a time. You think about home. Whatever that means now. A warm stove. Soup. Someone humming in the next room. But that room doesn't exist anymore. Not for you. Not for anyone who survived this long. The war took it. The ash ate the rest. You reach a crossroads. You crouch behind a wrecked cart. Wait. Listen. Wind. Far off shouting. A pop. Then a pause. Then a scream. Short, muffled, then nothing. You wait longer. Finally you move again. The pump is in the next block. That's the rumour. You don't believe it, but you believe in movement. You crawl into a collapsed storefront. Used to be a bakery. The display window is shattered. There's a loaf of bread inside, blackened, fossilised. Still on the counter, untouched. It's a trap. You look closer. Tripwire by the window, grenade hidden behind the counter. Classic. Someone really wanted to keep their rock-solid bread safe. You leave it. Outside, a shell hits somewhere in the distance. The sound rolls through the city like thunder in a coffin. You feel it in your teeth. Your tongue tastes ash again. You round a corner, and there it is, the pump. Real, rusty, covered in frost. You blink like it might disappear. You limp over, grab the handle. It squeals like a dying animal. You pump, once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. 4th time a drip, 5th a trickle. 6th water. Brown, sludgy, but wet. You drop to your knees and cup your hands. You drink. It's the worst thing you've ever tasted. It's also the best. You fill your can, wipe your mouth, stand. That's when you hear it. A voice. German. Too close. You dive behind a wall, boots on snow. 2 of them. Rifles slung, talking casually. You freeze. They're 10 feet away. If you had a working weapon, you'd shoot. But you don't. So you breathe. Slow, shallow. One of them stops, lights a cigarette. The sulphur burns your nose. You think he sees you. Then he spits. Says something. Laughs. They move on. You wait until they're gone. Then you move too. Back through the alley. Back across the street. Back to your broken building. The ash is thicker now. Your boots leave black tracks in the snow. You reach your room, drop the canteen, collapse against the wall. And as you sit there, coughing, shaking, bleeding, you think about how ridiculous it is that in this whole damned city, the most dangerous thing is breathing. You wake up with something chewing on your boot, not a nightmare. Not a metaphor. An actual rat. Big, grey, half its face missing. It looks at you like you're the intruder. You kick. It hisses and bolts, tail dragging through a pool of frozen blood. You don't chase it. You're too tired. Too cold. Too used to it. You lean back against the brick wall and check your foot. Still there. But your socks shredded. Again. You gave up on keeping them dry days ago. Now, it's about keeping your skin attached. Outside, the wind howls like it's got unfinished business. It slips through the cracks in the walls, wraps around your neck, climbs inside your sleeves. Your breath fogs instantly, then crystallizes on your scarf. You're breathing ice now. You try to move your fingers. 3 work. 2 are stiff. You smack them against your thigh until they remember their job. You don't wear gloves anymore. You lost one in a sewer crawl. The other caught fire when a shell hit your rucksack. Now you wrap your hands in whatever you can find. Scrap cloth. Wool from a dead man's collar. A strip of curtain that smells like mould and fear. You step outside. Carefully. The alley is silent. It snowed again last night. Just enough to hide the blood, not enough to bury it. You limp toward the next block, boots crunching through slush that might be ice, might be bone fragments. A shell crater marks the centre of the intersection. You remember when it was a market. Now it's a lake of black water, steam rising. Something is floating in it. You don't look too close. The building's groan under the weight of snow and time. Windows blown out. Walls cracked open like broken ribs. You pass what used to be a butcher's shop. There's still a sign hanging above the door. It sways in the wind like it's trying to remember what meat used to smell like before it started walking on two legs and carrying rifles. You duck inside. Not for supplies, you know better. It's shelter, that's all. Inside, the air is thick with rot. Your nose wrinkles. Too late. You've already inhaled it. There's a table in the corner. Wood. Burned. Blood-stained. Used recently not for food. You sit anyway. Let your knee rest. Let your brain drift. The cold is a presence now, not a temperature. Not a problem to solve. It's a character in this story and it wants you dead. It climbs into your joints. It eats your energy. It whispers things you don't want to hear. Lie down. Close your eyes. You're so tired. You shake it off. Sort of. Behind the counter, a rat skitters across the floor. It stops. Looks at you. It's not scared. Not anymore. These rats? They own this city now. They know the places we won't go. The rooms full of corpses too frozen to bury. The cellars where warmth means infection. The uniforms that stopped moving days ago but still twitch when the wind shifts. You throw a chunk of brick at it. Miss! It vanishes into a hole in the wall. You're not mad. You're jealous. It knows where to hide. You don't. You check your pack. One crust of bread. One frozen potato. You chew the bread, slowly. You've got to make it last. It tastes like dirt. Better than nothing. Worse than memory. You've stopped dreaming about meals. Now you dream about not being hungry. You lean against the wall. Your breath fogs the air. It's so cold it doesn't even sting anymore. It just settles in. Your coat is stiff with ice. The hem is torn. The lining's packed with newspaper from September. You can still read the headline. Victory will be ours. You laugh. It sounds like coughing. Your nose bleeds when you sniff. Your fingertips are cracked. Your lips are splitting open. You reach into your pocket and find a tooth. Not yours. You don't know whose. You don't want to know. You toss it away. Something moves outside. You freeze. A silhouette crosses the street. Slow, hunched. Carrying a bundle wrapped in a bedsheet. You don't call out. You don't wave. Too risky. It might be a soldier. Might be a civilian. Might be bait. Or worse, someone looking for meat. Any kind. You stay silent. After a minute, the shadow disappears. Into the snow. Into the rot. You step out again. Back into the wind. Back into the cold that never left. You think about fire. There's no wood. No fuel. Just pages from a Bible you found in a schoolhouse. You burned half. Used the rest for bandages. You still don't know if that was sacrilege or survival. Probably both. Your fingers are purple now. The kind of purple that means hurry up or lose them. You try to make a fist. The skin cracks. Blood oozes. You laugh again. No sound, just air. You reach another building. Kick the door gently. It creaks open. Inside dark. Silent. You step in. Close it behind you. And sit. You don't pray. You don't plan. You just breathe. It fogs the air. Then fades. You light a match. Hold it close. Just to watch it burn. It's the only warmth you'll get today. And tomorrow, more rats, more rot, more Russian winter, and maybe if you're lucky, less of you left to feel it. Hunger stops being a feeling, becomes a rhythm, a schedule, a sound in your gut that ticks like a bomb and never stops ticking. You don't eat meals anymore. You scavenge moments. Crumbs, crusts, soup made from things that don't deserve the word soup. Your stomach growls like it's accusing you, like it's asking, "Why are you still alive if you won't feed me?" You don't have an answer. You're in what used to be a cafeteria. Tiled floors, bent chairs, broken trays. Everything smells like mildew and iron and burned canvas. There's a pot on the stove. Empty, but it smells like food used to happen here. You open the cupboards. Nothing. Then something, a tin. No label, no lid, just rust. You sniff. You stop. It's not edible. It's history. You sit down on a bench with one leg and pull out your last piece of potato. It's grey. Soft in the middle. You chew it like it's a ration from the gods. There's a man across from you. You don't know his name. He's chewing on a button. Not joking. An actual uniform button. He bites it like it might unlock flavour. You ask him, "When's the last time you ate?" He shrugs. "Yesterday. Week ago. Don't know." Then he smiles. There are no teeth behind the smile. You leave him there. Not because he scares you. Because you recognise him. He's one bad morning away from eating a boot. Or a rat. Or worse. You step outside. Cold wind. Again. A woman is crouched beside a broken wagon. She's picking through snow. She finds something, holds it up to the light. A bone. She licks it. Just to taste something. You look away. Not because it's disgusting, but because it's familiar. Everyone's starving. Your commander hasn't spoken in 2 days, not out of discipline. His tongue is swollen. The medic chews tobacco now. Not for the nicotine. For the illusion of fullness. Your own hands shake when you hold a spoon, not from fear, not from cold, from the sheer pressure of anticipation. Because if you drop it, there's no second scoop. You return to your post. A window with no glass. A pile of bricks for a pillow. There's a crate next to you. Inside, dry straw, 2 shell casings, and a single onion. You stare at it like it's gold. Because it is. You don't eat it. Not yet. You hide it under your coat. Not from the enemy, from your friends. You've seen what people do for food now. What you've done. You remember a week ago. The stew they handed out. Thick. Brown. Hot. You asked what was in it. The cook didn't answer. Just said, "It's warm, that's enough." You took the bowl. You drank it. You don't want to know what was in it. But you're pretty sure it used to salute. Another shell lands somewhere outside. You don't flinch. Shells mean the kitchens are probably gone too. Someone near you is trying to cook something over a fire made from furniture. You walk over. It smells awful. Like burnt rubber and maybe cabbage. You ask, "What is it?" He says, "Don't know. It moved when I caught it." You take a bite. It crunches. You don't care. It fills you for half an hour. Then the hollow feeling comes back. Like your insides are being pulled out one cell at a time. Like your body's running on bone dust and regret. You find a piece of cloth in your pocket. You chew it. Not to eat it, just to trick your jaw into thinking there's something left to do. You look at your fingers. Skin pulled tight. Joints swollen. You've lost weight. A lot. Your belt doesn't fit. Your face looks like a skull in a helmet. Your legs feel like matchsticks. You know what hunger does. First it's the pain. Then it's the numb. Then it's the cold, not from outside, from inside. Then the thoughts. You think about soup, bread, roast duck for some reason. You think about walking into a kitchen and collapsing from the smell of warm butter. You think about swallowing your dog tags if it meant one bite of chocolate. You think about the guy from last week, the one who died sitting up, smile on his face. Turns out he'd found a single sugar cube in his coat. He didn't tell anyone. He just closed his eyes, put it in his mouth and disappeared. You envied him. Still do. You sit back down, take out the onion. You stare at it. You think, if I eat this now, I'll be alive tomorrow. Maybe. But if you save it, if you hoard it, maybe it'll get you through the night. The coldest part. The 3 a.m. part. When the rats stop moving and the city stops breathing. You put it back in your coat. You'll wait. For what? You're not sure. But that's the game now. Not fighting, not shooting, waiting. Outlasting hunger. Outlasting friends. Outlasting yourself. And maybe, if the war ends, maybe then you'll eat again. Maybe you hear them first. Not shouting, not marching, coughing. Deep, wet chest rattling. The kind of cough that starts in the lungs and ends in the grave. They're on the other side of the wall. Not far. You could throw a brick and hit one. You could whisper and they might hear you. But you don't. Because they're German. And because you're too tired to hate anymore. You press your ear to the wall. The bricks are cold. So is the voice coming through. He's singing. Soft. Off-key. German. You don't recognise the words, but the sound is human. It shouldn't be. You were told they were monsters. Trained killers. Machines in grey uniforms. But the one behind this wall? He's just trying to keep warm. So are you. You shift your weight. Your ribs ache. The cough's coming for you too. Everyone's sick now. Everyone's skin is pale. Everyone's teeth are loose. Even the Germans. You peek through a hole in the wall. Carefully. Slowly. The light's low. They've got a fire going small, smokeless, made from books and broken furniture. There are 4 of them. One's asleep. One's smoking. One's just staring at his boots like he doesn't remember how they got there. The 4th is carving something into the stock of his rifle. You wonder if it's names, or days, or just a way to stay sane. You duck back. Your breath fogs the brick. Your stomach growls. So does theirs. They're starving too. You know it. Their cheeks are sunken. Their uniforms don't fit right anymore. One of them pulls off his glove, and his fingers are black at the tips. Frostbite. Or rot. Or both. You sit down, back against the wall. Your side of Stalingrad looks the same as theirs. Same snow, same ash. Same smell of cold and death and mouldy gunpowder. You wonder if you both lay down your rifles, would the city even notice? Probably not. Because this place doesn't care what language you scream in. It doesn't care what flag's on your sleeve. It just wants you dead. And it's getting what it wants, slowly. You've heard stories. Germans freezing to death in bombed-out bunkers. Eating sawdust bread. Boiling boot leather. Turning on each other when the rations ran out. You believe it. Because the same thing's happening on your side. You think about last week. That German patrol that wandered into the square. Half their number frostbitten. The other half barely able to walk. They didn't get ambushed. They got surrounded by silence. Your unit watched from the ruins. Nobody fired. Because watching someone starve is easier than pulling the trigger. They collapsed 2 blocks later. No bullets. No glory. Just the wind and the snow and the long, slow exhale of men who'd run out of reasons to keep moving. You cross your arms tighter. Not to warm up. To stop your hands from shaking. The air's so cold it burns. Your breath hurts your throat. You haven't spoken in hours and there's nothing left to say. You wonder how many Germans are left in the city. Used to be hundreds of thousands. Now, maybe less. Maybe ghosts. Maybe shadows coughing into the walls just like you as you stand. Legs weak, knees stiff. But you've got to move. You slip out of your hiding place and into the snow. It's falling again. Always falling. Like the sky is trying to bury you before the city does. You head toward the next building, half collapsed, charred at the edges. There's a German body in the doorway, face down, half covered in snow, his hand still gripping a spoon. You step over him. Inside, nothing. Just the cold echo of footsteps and the wind crying through cracks. You sit. Again. And you think about something nobody talks about. How you're both losing. Them. You. Everyone. Because this isn't war anymore. It's decay. It's waiting. It's who can suffer longer without going mad. And you're not sure who's winning that game. You're not even sure you want to. You pull your scarf tighter and rest your head on your arms. Outside, the wind howls. Somewhere nearby, someone coughs. Could be a German. Could be Russian. Could be you in an hour. Doesn't matter. Because here in Stalingrad, the enemy's not across the street. He's beside you, inside you. And he's starving too. You're inside a building, but you're not safe. Because in Stalingrad, buildings aren't shelter. They're traps. Death with windows. Every hallway is a front line. Every stairwell is a sniper's perch. Every floor is a war of inches. You're crouched in a ruined apartment or what used to be one. There's wallpaper peeling off in strips. A broken dresser in the corner. Children's drawings on the wall, now half burned and soaked in soot. It's quiet. Too quiet. And that means one thing. Someone's already here. You don't announce yourself. No one does. You move like a whisper. Rifle up. Back straight. Every breath pre-measured. The air smells like plaster dust and rot. Your boots crunch on something. You look down. Porcelain. A plate. Shattered. Hand-painted flowers. Someone used to eat here, laugh here, sleep here. Now it's your kill zone. You hear a noise. Upstairs. Not loud. Just enough. A scrape. A footstep. A breath that wasn't yours. You freeze. Heart racing. Eyes locked on the ceiling. Then a voice. Not yours. Not Russian. You don't speak German, but you don't need to. Tone is universal. He's talking to someone. Laughing. Relaxed. You count 2 sets of footsteps. One heavier, one lighter. Different paces. 2 men. Maybe more. You press your back against the wall and scan the room. There's a spiral staircase ahead, missing 3 steps, covered in frost. You move. Each step is a negotiation with gravity and memory. The 4th step creaks, loud. You stop breathing. Silence above. Then a shout. You run. Not up, down, into the dark. Bullets spray the wall behind you. You feel the plaster burst past your neck like hot snow. You crash through a door. Basement. Pitch black. Smells like wet concrete and rat piss. You hear shouting upstairs. Boots. Multiple. They're coming down. You turn. You find a corner. Low, covered. Old crates stacked against the wall. You squeeze behind them. Rifle raised. Safety off. You wait. Seconds stretch like wire. Each one tightening around your lungs, then footsteps. Wood creaking. Someone descending. You see a shadow stretch across the floor. Long, rifle-shaped. You don't breathe. He steps into view. German, young, barely shaving. You watch him scan the room. He's nervous. His hands twitch. He steps closer. Another half step and he'll see you. You fire. Once. The flash blinds you. The sound shreds the silence. He drops instantly. You duck. Return fire. Another man on the stairs. He shoots wild. You feel a hot burst on your shoulder, glancing hit. You fire again. He screams. Then it's quiet. You reload. Fast. Sloppy. You wait. 10 seconds. 20. Nothing. You stand. You check the bodies. Both dead. One still twitching. The other missing half a face. You don't flinch. You just climb. Back to the first floor. Up the stairs. Careful. Careful. The apartment is still. You clear room by room. Bathroom. Empty. Bedroom. Empty. Kitchen, a chair knocked over, cup still steaming. You check the fire. It's dying. You kick it out. The whole place smells like cooked gun oil and melted butter. You move to the window. You see the street. Same as before. Snow, smoke, shadows. You're not looking for movement. You're looking for muzzle flashes. None. You sit. Just for a second. Then you hear it. Movement above you. Another floor. You sigh. Of course. You load another round, and up you go. Because in this city every room is a war. Every building is a battlefield. And the only way to survive is to clear them one corpse at a time. You don't look up anymore. Because up is death. Up is where they live. The ghosts with rifles. The ones who don't breathe loud, don't blink, don't miss. Snipers. You don't see them. That's the point. If you see one, it's already too late. You're crossing a courtyard. Wide. Exposed. 30 meters of open air and bad decisions. You crouch behind a chunk of broken wall. What used to be the corner of a theatre. Now just concrete and old bullet holes. You scan the rooftops. Windows. Shadows. Nothing. And that's what scares you most. Because if you see nothing in Stalingrad, it means someone sees you. You wait. Then you move. Not fast. Not slow. That perfect middle speed, just enough to say, I don't want to die. But not enough to look like you're running. You don't want to look like you're afraid. Snipers love fear. It makes people twitch. Break cover. Stand up. You take 5 steps. Freeze. A shot echoes down the block. Not close, but close enough to remind you. Someone out there just took their shot. Someone else just stopped breathing. You take a breath. Keep going. You reach the next wall. Drop behind it. Knees aching. Hands numb. You hear a ricochet off brick. Then a second. Then silence again. It wasn't at you. Doesn't matter. Every bullet in this city is personal. Even the ones that miss. A voice whispers behind you. It's Anton, your spotter. Used to be a glass cutter. Now he cuts throats. He points up. 3rd floor. Factory building. 2 windows, 1 broken. He says, There. You nod. You don't see anyone. He does. He always does. He hands you the scope. No rifle. Just the glass tube. You raise it, careful, slow. Scan. And then, there he is. German. Camouflaged in curtains and shadow. Face like stone. Mouth tight. Finger hovering near the trigger. He's watching, patient. Probably been there all day. You whisper, "How long?" Anton shrugs. "Longer than us." You lower the scope. Heartbeat loud. Palms sweaty inside your gloves. You don't shoot. Not because you're scared, because you know how this works. Shoot him now, maybe you get him, maybe you don't. But if you miss, then he remembers you exist. And you don't want that. You back off. You leave him there. You move underground, through a crawl space that smells like mould and burnt cloth. You emerge 3 buildings over. New vantage point. New risk. Anton sets up his rifle. Long, old, reliable. You keep watch while he breathes. He doesn't rush. He waits. 1 minute. 2. 3. Then breath in. Trigger squeeze. 1 shot. You don't see it hit. You just hear the helmet clatter down 3 floors of steel. Anton doesn't smile. He just says, "1 less." You nod. That's how it works here. 1 shot at a time. 1 body less on the roof. But the sky's still full, because for every sniper you find, 2 more replace him. And they don't sleep. They don't blink. They don't eat. You remember a rumour? A Soviet sniper hit 11 men in 1 day. Same rifle, same window. He didn't move. He just waited. And they kept coming. You're not sure if it's true. You hope it is. Because if he's up there, if you ever need cover, if you ever move into the open again, maybe he'll be watching. Maybe the sky will belong to you. But until then, you crawl. You crouch. You scan every window like it's looking back. Because in Stalingrad, the sky isn't blue. It's grey, cold, and full of people trying to write your name on a bullet. You wake up to gunfire. Not ahead, not behind, not outside, inside. You hear it 3 rooms over, then 1 room, then half a wall. You roll out of your blanket and hit the ground hard. Rifle up, heart pounding, mouth dry. Someone screaming, in Russian, then another voice German. Short, choppy, panicked, then silence. Then a thud. You crawl to the doorway. No light, no noise, no warning. Just like that, your bedroom is the battlefield. That's how it works here. You can be sleeping, eating, writing a letter. Then it happens. A squad comes through a wall. A grenade rolls into your lap. A man dies 3 feet from the kettle. There is no front line in Stalingrad. No trenches. No neat red and blue lines on a map. No clear us and them. Just floors, rooms, corridors. Every hallway is contested. Every stairwell is a no man's land. Every floor has a different flag. You might take a building at dawn, lose it at noon, retake it by nightfall, and still die in it before morning. You once spent an entire day fighting over 3 rooms and a closet. By night the closet was full of bodies. Yours, theirs. You stopped sorting after the 3rd one exploded from the cold. You peek out of your current room. See nothing. Smell blood. You move, careful, slow. Down the hall you see a figure. Uniform's Russian, but his eyes don't recognize you. He raises his rifle. You yell the password. He freezes, lowers his gun, nods. You pass each other without a word, no names, no salutes. You're not comrades. You're just 2 men trying not to die in the same building. You head down the stairs. The steps creak. You count them out loud under your breath. 12 steps. 13 means there's a mine. The 14th step is gone. You hop over it. Land on cold tile. The basement is full of smoke. Someone tried to cook something down here. It didn't work. There's a man coughing in the corner, wrapped in a coat that might have been white once. Now it's grey. Colour as the walls. Same colour as the rats. Pistol. He doesn't nod back. You don't blame him. There's a map on the wall, drawn in chalk. Ugly. Circles, arrows, X's. You try to make sense of it. Can't. Because the truth is nobody knows who holds what anymore. Command says you control Building 11. But you haven't been able to get near it for 3 days. They say the Germans are pushing west. But yesterday you saw them dragging bodies east. They say the Volga is yours. But they don't say how many men froze trying to cross it. This isn't war. This is erosion. One wall at a time. One floor. One corner. You walk upstairs again. Gunfire 2 blocks over. Too far to help. Too close to ignore. You remember when battle lines meant something. When you could look at a map and understand. Now it's just this. If you're not shooting someone in the room with you, you're probably about to be shot yourself. You cross into another building. There's a Russian machine gun set up in the stairwell. Its crew is dead. You don't move them. You just take their ammo and keep going. Upstairs, a boy is sitting in the bathtub with a rifle. 14, maybe 15. Shaking, but alive. He stares at you. You nod. He nods back. He's holding the line. Whatever that means now. You climb to the roof. See the skyline. What's left of it? Smoke. Ash. The shells of buildings that used to have names. You hear more shots. This time from the basement. The building you just left. You climb back down. Fast. Quiet. You find 2 Germans in the lower hall. One's limping. The other's already dead. You fire. Once. Twice. Done. You lean against the wall. Close your eyes. You don't know where the line is anymore. Because here the line isn't drawn in dirt. It's drawn in blood. In brick. In breath. And it moves every time someone falls. You reload. You exhale. Then you move again. Because in Stalingrad you don't hold the front. You just survive the floor. You haven't slept in 2 days. Maybe 3. Time gets blurry when the city eats the sky. You tried to sleep last night. Found a quiet spot under a collapsed stairwell. Wrapped yourself in rags. Closed your eyes. Didn't help. The dreams start immediately. Faces you can't place. Bodies you didn't bury. Fires you didn't put out. So you stop trying. Because sleep in Stalingrad isn't rest. It's an ambush with your eyes closed. You sit now in what used to be a classroom. Chalkboards shattered. Desks piled against the windows. Textbooks frozen solid on the floor. You lean your rifle against a chair and rub your eyes. They burn, not from tears, from dust. From staring too long into nothing. Someone enters the room. Boots. Russian. You tense. He gives you a nod. Says, "Comrade." You nod back. He sits across the room. Doesn't speak again. That's how it works here. Everyone's Russian, but not everyone's safe. You heard what happened last week. 2 men in the same squad. Same barracks. Same ration line. One shot the other in his sleep. Claimed he heard him muttering in German. Nobody asked questions. Nobody held a trial. Because in this city, guilt is easier than proof. You glance over at the man now. He's chewing something. Hard to tell what. You check his hands. Gloves. Clean. Too clean? You shake the thought, but not the feeling. You reach into your coat, grip your knife, not because you plan to use it, but because you might need to. You ask, "Where are you stationed?" He says, "Red October." That's a lie. Red October was shelled to dust 2 nights ago. You saw it glow. He didn't. You don't call him out. You just nod. Then pick up your rifle and walk out of the room. Because if you're going to die, it won't be in your sleep. You find another room. What used to be an office. Paper scattered everywhere. Reports, ledgers, receipts. All meaningless now. You sit in the corner, back to the wall, rifle across your lap. You close your eyes, just for a second. Then you hear footsteps. You open them again. Lesson learned. You've seen what happens to those who fall asleep in the wrong place. You found one 2 days ago. A kid. 18, maybe. Curled up like a child. Blanket pulled over his face. Peaceful. Until you noticed the hole in the side of his head. Small, clean. No blood trail. Just a single bullet. Just enough. Probably from someone he trusted. Or someone hungry. Or someone scared. Doesn't matter now. He didn't wake up. That's what scares you most. Not dying. Sleeping through it. You take a bite of bread. Hard as rock. Tastes like plaster and ash. You chew anyway. You hear another explosion somewhere outside. Distant. Familiar. You don't move. Not unless the ceiling moves too. Your eyes blur. You blink. Hard. Don't fall asleep. Not now. Not here. You remember a soldier once said, "Sleep is for the living." You laughed. Now you understand. You check. Chamber's clear. Bolt. Everything works. Except you. Your hands tremble. Your vision narrows. You slap your cheek. Once, twice. Stay awake. Stay ready. You hear a laugh echo down the hallway. Then a scream. Then nothing. Could have been anything for her. Could have been everything. You press your back tighter against the wall. And you promise yourself, no matter what, you'll sleep when the war forgets your name. You're standing in a legend. But it doesn't feel like one. It's a square, grey ruin with 4 stories of broken windows and bullet-pocked bricks. They call it Pavlov's house, like it's a monument. Like it's still whole. It's not. It's a corpse of a building and it smells like one. Inside everything echoes. Your boots on the stairs. Your breath in the dark. Your thoughts. You hear them before you see them. Voices. Low. Sharp. Russian. That's good. Maybe. You raise your rifle anyway. Because in Pavlov's house the enemy could be on the same floor or behind the same wall. You round the corner. There they are. 4 of them. Gaunt. Dirty. Alert. Eyes like bayonets. They don't move when they see you. They just stare. You nod. The man closest, probably in charge, nods back. He gestures. You follow. Upstairs. Floor by floor. Each one tells a story in blood. The second floor's got a hole in the wall big enough to drive a truck through. Reinforced with doors, furniture, sandbags and a rusted piano. Sniper position. You can tell by the scorch marks and the pile of casings. The third floor's a maze of mattresses and wire. Tripwires, booby traps. Someone was paranoid or smart. You step over them carefully. Follow the man to the top. The 4th floor. This is it. The legend. The place where a squad of men held off the entire German army for weeks. They say it was 24 guys. Maybe more, maybe less. Doesn't matter. The myth is louder than the numbers. They call it Pavlov's house because a man named Yakov Pavlov refused to die here. He and his unit turned this broken apartment into a fortress. They wired every entrance, cut holes in the walls for crossfire, sniped tanks from the rooftops, lived off ammo drops and boiled floorboards. The Germans hit it with artillery every day, dropped bombs on it, sent wave after wave after wave. Didn't matter. They never took it. You're here now. Same walls, same air, different ghosts. You ask the man, how many have you left? He holds up 2 fingers, then points to the floor. There were more. Now it's just them. You ask how long they've been here? He says, since October. It's January now. You don't say anything. You just sit down. There's a rifle resting against the wall, engraved stock. You pick it up. The trigger's smooth, well used, trusted. You look out the hole in the wall, see the street. Same street the Germans tried to cross. Same field of death. Still littered with helmets, rifles, bodies frozen mid-crawl. Still dangerous. You look back. There's a kettle in the corner. Steam coming out. He offers you a cup. You take it. It's not tea. It's something that once dreamed of being soup. But it's warm. You drink. It burns your throat in the best way. You ask, why stay here? The man shrugs. This place doesn't fall. That's it. Not pride. Not glory. Not even orders. Just survival. Because Pavlov's house is more than a position. It's defiance. The walls shouldn't be standing. Neither should they. But they are. And that matters. You help move sandbags to a new firing lane. Shift bricks. Adjust the angle of the scope. This isn't your post. But for now, it's your fight. You ask where they sleep. He points to the floor. Where they eat. He shrugs. Whatever falls from the sky or crawls through the cracks. Where they go to the bathroom. You'll figure it out. You laugh. So does he. The sound bounces through the concrete like it forgot how to exist. You sit on a crate. Load your rifle. Stare out into the white hell of Stalingrad. It's quiet. For now. You realize something. This building isn't special because of who built it. It's special because it's still standing. Because Pavlov's house didn't fall, and neither will you. Not tonight. Not in this place. Not while the bricks still remember what they're holding up. At first you think it's the war that wants you dead. The bullets. The hunger. The cold. The enemy. But then you realize it's not just the war. It's the city itself. Stalingrad. It hates you. Not personally. It hates everyone. It hates your heartbeat. Your warmth. Your movement. You can feel it in the floor beneath your boots. The way it groans when you shift your weight. Like it's waiting for the perfect moment to collapse. You're walking through a collapsed apartment block. Or what's left of one. The stairwell is shattered. You climb using bricks jammed between floors, your hands scraping rusted rebar with every step. At the top, the hallway is twisted metal and ash. The ceiling drips. You don't ask what it is. You step over the remains of a door frame. Your boot goes straight through the floor. You don't fall, not all the way, but you feel the edge of death against your ribs, like a whisper. You pull yourself back. The floorboard snaps in protest. You crawl the rest of the way on your belly. That's the rule here. If you think the building might collapse, you're already too late. The air smells like mould and urine and long-decayed insulation. Somewhere, something drips. Endless, rhythmic, mocking. You find a window. Careful. One wrong breath and the frame could shear off and slice your throat open. You crouch low and peer out. The street is empty. Snow, smoke, silence. Except it's not silence. You hear it. The subtle creak of iron bending, the groan of brickwork shifting, the sigh of a beam that's about to give up. The whole city is slowly falling in on itself, and if you are in the wrong place at the wrong second, you become part of it. You once watched a man get swallowed by a floor. 1 second he was standing, the next, gone. You found him in the basement. Well, half of him. The rest was somewhere beneath 3 tons of stone and rebar. You didn't dig. You couldn't. You just stared and realized Stalingrad doesn't need snipers to kill you. It doesn't need shrapnel. It just waits. You remember walking into a building that looked fine from the outside, perfectly intact. A miracle. Inside? It was hollow. The shell of a house, no floors, no stairs. Just a drop. You almost stepped in. Almost. Someone behind you whispered, "Stop." He saved your life. You never saw him again. He might be dead. Might be buried in the next hollow miracle down the road. You move now like the whole world is a trap. Because it is. Every door is a gamble. Every floorboard a liar. Every wall leans like it wants to fall, but only when you're underneath it. And the cold? It helps nothing. Ice works its way into the cracks. Expands. Fractures everything. Wood, brick, bone. You watch a building collapse in the distance. No shell hit it. No fire. It just gave up. Gravity took it. And you think maybe that's what'll get you too. Not a bullet. Not a bayonet. Just a ceiling with bad timing. You return to your shelter. Sit in a corner. Back against a support beam that probably won't last the night. You don't light a fire. The smoke might bring shells. The warmth might bring rats. You just sit there and you listen to the city breathing, to the walls tightening, to the bricks settling in like tombstones. Stalingrad was once a city. Now it's a mouth, and you're in its teeth. You think you've gone deaf. Then you realise it's just quiet, for once. No shells, no blasts. No walls screaming as they fall. You feel your ears ringing in the absence of it. Like silence is the new kind of noise. You don't trust it. Because in Stalingrad, a day without artillery doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. You're sitting in a corner room of a factory ruin. Steel beams twisted overhead like they've been clawed by giants. A girder hangs from the ceiling by a thread of cable. You count to 30. Still no shelling. That's worse than the explosions. Because when it's quiet, you start to hope. And that's how they get you. You remember what the commander said your first day in the city. If you hear it, you're lucky. If you don't, you're already dead. Because artillery in Stalingrad isn't just a weapon. It's weather. It falls on everything. Everyone. Everywhere. Civilian, soldier, friend, enemy, doesn't matter. When the sky starts screaming, you duck first, ask questions later. You remember the first time a shell landed close. You didn't hear it. Just a flash. A thump. Then a high-pitched ringing that lasted 3 days. You couldn't stand. Couldn't see straight. You vomited and bled from your nose at the same time. You thought that was bad. Then came the second one. It landed in the next building. You watched the walls ripple like water, then explode outward like a sigh from hell. You found pieces of people afterward. Not whole bodies, pieces. A foot in a shoe, a chunk of torso wearing a wedding ring, half a face with the eyes still open. You couldn't look away. Now you don't look at all. The shelling always starts the same. A distant whine, like metal crying. Then a whistle fast, high. Then impact. Sometimes a thud. Sometimes a crack. Sometimes no sound at all. Just gone. You've been buried in rubble more than once. Once for 6 hours. You survived by breathing through your sleeve and praying the next shell wouldn't finish the job. You know the names now. 152 EBM, 88S. Nebelwerfer. Each one sings its own song. Each one writes its own obituary. Sometimes it's yours. You're on a recon now, moving across what used to be a tram line. Steel tracks twist in every direction. A trolley lies sideways, burned black, glass gone. Then you hear it. Faint. Far. The incoming. You drop without thinking of no cover. Just snow. You bury your head and hope the math is wrong. Boom. Half a block away. Still loud enough to shake the dust off your ribs. You crawl. Faster. Another whine. You count. 1, 2, boom. This one hits closer. You feel heat. But you keep crawling. You slide under a rusted vehicle, a Zis truck, or what's left of one. The next shell lands where you were 10 seconds ago. You don't celebrate. Because celebration gets you dead. You wait. 5 minutes, 10. Silence returns. You keep moving. Your knee hurts. Your ears ring. But you're alive. That's the only victory here. You reach a basement entrance. Drop in. Inside it smells like dust and diesel and death. A soldier sits on a crate. He looks up. Mouth moving, no sound. You blink. Then realise you're still deaf. The last shell took your hearing again. 3rd time this month. He offers you water. You shake your head. He points upward. Mimics the whistle. Then shrugs. You nod. You both understand. He hasn't heard quiet in weeks either. Outside you feel it again. That subtle tremble, that pressure in your chest. Another barrage incoming. You both look at the ceiling, then at each other. No words, just breath. Then boom, the world shakes. Dust falls like snow. You cover your mouth. Wait, and wait, and wait. Because in Stalingrad, artillery doesn't take days off. It doesn't run out. And the quiet, that's just the part right before your building disappears. Your trigger finger doesn't work. You stare at it, willing it to move. Nothing. Just pain. Then a twitch. Then another. But it's too slow, too stiff. You slap your hand against your thigh. Hard. Again. Again. Flesh against frozen cloth. You grit your teeth.
No good. The cold has taken it. Just like it's taken everything else. You remember when gloves were a luxury. Now even rags are scarce. You wrap your hands in torn bootlaces, old bandages, a piece of blanket soaked in someone else's blood. Still not enough. Your knuckles are purple. Your nails black. One finger is starting to rot. You don't tell anyone. Because if you complain in Stalingrad, you're not complaining long. You check your rifle. Was elegant, reliable, simple, loyal, until it isn't. You crack the bolt open. It resists, frozen shut.
You hold your breath and force it. A snap not of metal but of your wrist. You bite down on the pain. Push forward. The bolt breaks free. Barely. Inside, the chamber is iced. Your last shot left moisture. Now it's sealed like concrete. You spit into it. Wipe it with cloth. Rub it against your coat sleeve, hoping friction is enough. It isn't. You take out your knife. Scrape. Tiny flecks of ice fall out, land on your boot and vanish. You whisper, "Come on." Like the rifle can hear you. Eventually it moves. One shot, maybe two, before it freezes again. That's all you get. You think about the last time you saw your rifle jam mid-fight. A man you knew, Semyon. Good shot. Fast hands. His bolt stuck right as a German appeared over the rubble. He reached for his sidearm. Didn't get there. Warnings. You enter a building. Step over another. This one's wearing German grey. He has no helmet. His jaw is missing. There's a rifle next to him. You pick it up. Frozen solid. You leave it. Outside, you pass 3 bodies leaning against a wall, like they're waiting for a train that isn't coming. You wonder how long they've been there. A week? A month? Doesn't matter. Snow's starting to cover them now. Just enough to blur the lines between uniform and bone. You used to flinch at the sight. Now, you just calculate how to step around them. You remember the first time you tried to bury someone. You were new. He'd been your friend for 6 days. Shot through the throat. You and 2 others tried to dig. You used a helmet, a mess tin, even your hands. The ground was like concrete. After an hour, you'd made a hole 2 inches deep. So you stopped, dragged him behind a wall, covered his face, said nothing. You never tried again. Now, when someone dies, you just check their pockets. ID, ammo, maybe a can of food. Then you move on. You saw a man freeze to death sitting up, gun in his lap, hat still on. His squad left him there, not out of cruelty, just survival. They needed to move. And he wasn't going anywhere. Sometimes you sleep next to a body. It's warmer than the floor, more trustworthy than the living. You once watched a shell hit a trench. 7 men gone in 1 second. No screams, no struggle, just smoke. When the dust settled, there was nothing left to bury anyway. Just pieces. You wonder how many lie beneath the rubble. How many got swallowed by buildings, buried in stairwells, crushed in hallways. You'll never know. Nobody will. Because in this city, there's no graveyard. There's no priest. There's no one left to count. Only the wind, the snow, and the quiet weight of all the things no longer moving. You sit in a ruined apartment. Across from you, a body propped in a chair. He's been there a while. Mouth open, jaw slack, still holding a pencil. You stare at him. He stares at nothing. You wonder what he was writing. A letter. A list. His own name. Doesn't matter. You take the pencil. It still works. You write on the wall. Still here? You get up. Leave the room. Outside it's snowing again. And all across Stalingrad, the dead don't move. They don't get mourned. They don't get names. They don't get buried. They just stay, watching, waiting, reminding you what happens when you stop moving, when you stop fighting, when you stop surviving. You don't write letters anymore, not because there's no one to write to, but because there's no one left to carry them. And even if there was, what would you say? Dear Mama, today I stepped over 3 dead men to get a spoonful of soup. Don't worry, I think it had meat in it. No. You tried once. Sat down in a corner with a pencil no longer than your finger. Ripped a piece of paper from a ledger book. Started with, "I am alive." But it didn't feel true. So you stopped. You look around now and you see them. The half-finished letters, scattered across the city like whispers caught in rubble. Torn notebook pages stuck between bricks. Names etched into wooden beams. A note scrawled on the inside of a helmet. One wall had an entire diary written on it. Line after line, all in pencil. You read it once. The house. Rations are low, Nikolai is coughing blood, no more shells, still holding the house. By the end, the lines got shaky. Shorter. Then stopped. The wall's still there, but no one's holding the house anymore. You reach into your coat pocket. There's something there. A folded sheet of paper. You forgot you had it. You open it slowly. One sentence in your handwriting. Whoa. I hope it was quick. You don't remember writing it, but you know exactly who it was for. He was your friend. Maybe more. Gone now. And no one outside this city even knows his name. You refold the note, put it back in your pocket. Not because you're keeping it, but because you can't throw it away. You sit by the window. It's cracked, but it still holds. You stare out at the white city, bombed out, frozen in time. You see two soldiers walking across the street. One stumbles. The other doesn't stop. They're not enemies. They're just empty. Shells of men. You remember when you used to talk? Back when words still meant something. You and the others, you told jokes, swapped stories, made promises. After the war, we'll find a bar. After the war, I'll marry her. After the war. But now, there is no after. There's just here. You tried talking yesterday to a boy in your unit, 16 maybe. You asked him what his name was. He said nothing, just stared at you like he'd forgotten how language worked. Then he turned and walked away. You watched him disappear into the snow. You haven't seen him since. Words feel like ghosts now. You try to say thank you when someone hands you bread. It comes out as a grunt. You try to say sorry when you step on someone's blanket. They don't notice. You try to say goodnight when you lay down, but no one listens. Because here, in this city, in this war, talking feels like weakness. You conserve your breath. You save it for the screams. You think about writing again. Not a letter, not a report, just something. Something that says you were here. You take a piece of charcoal from the stove, drag it across the wall. One word. Still. Still breathing. Still watching. Still trying. You sit back. Maybe someone will read it someday. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't matter. Because in Stalingrad, the only words that survive are the ones you never had time to say. You're thirsty. Not hungry. Not cold. Thirsty. That's a different kind of suffering. Your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth. Your lips crack when you breathe. Your throat feels like it's lined with sand. You search your coat pocket. Nothing. You check your canteen. Shake it. Solid. Frozen. You hold it to your chest, hoping your body heat will help. It doesn't. Water is everywhere in this city, but none of it wants to be water. It's ice. In buckets. In puddles. In pipes that don't sing anymore. You found a broken sink once. Turn the tap out of habit. Nothing. Not even air. You remember when water was easy. Turn a handle. Fill a cup. Take a sip. That world is gone. Now, water is something you break, shatter, melt. If you're lucky, you find snow. If you're desperate, you eat it. But snow isn't water. It's a trick. Cold going in, colder coming out. It numbs your lips, hollows your stomach, costs more energy than it gives. You once watched a man die drinking too much of it. Collapse with his hands still full. They said it cooled his blood too fast, like pouring ice into a dying fire. Now you melt it first. You build a tiny fire, just enough. You collect snow in a helmet, hold it above the flame. Wait. Eventually it drips. Black water. Grey. Tastes like ash and rust. You drink it anyway. Because in this city, water isn't a source of life. It's a gamble. Too cold and it kills your stomach. Too hot and someone sees the steam. Then comes the shell. Then comes the silence. You found a drain pipe once, hung low from a shattered roof. There was a slow drip. You waited 10 minutes for a mouthful. Cold, pure, felt like heaven. A sniper got the next man in line. You didn't even flinch. You just drank faster. You think about the Volga. It's right there. The great river. Endless, powerful. But now it's a grave, covered in ice and corpses. Crossing it is suicide. Melting it is impossible. Drinking it is a death sentence. Blood in the water, oil, fuel, bone. You don't touch it. You scavenge instead. Icicles hanging from a windowsill. A broken pipe dripping into a rusted pot. You watch it fall. Drop, drop, drop. Each one is a promise. You once shared a cup with 5 others. Passed it around like communion. The man before you had cracked lips. The man after you had none. You didn't care. That was 2 weeks ago. They're all dead now. You still have the cup. It's cracked, bent, stained black. But it holds. So you do too. You move through the ruins now like a hunter, not for food, not for bullets, for moisture. You open a tin, empty. Then, at the bottom, a smear of soup. You scrape it with your thumb, put it in your mouth. It's salty. It's cold. It's perfect. You check the walls for frost. Lick your glove. Touch a pipe. Slick. Wet. You breathe on it. Then scrape the film of ice into your palm. Let it melt, drop by drop. Because in Stalingrad, you don't search for water. You chase it. You beg it. You earn it. And if you stop, your blood thickens. Your eyes blur. Your lungs dry out like paper. Then you sit. Then you sleep. Then you don't wake up. And when they find you, they'll check your canteen. Still full. Still frozen. Still useless. Because water in Stalingrad is never just water. It's ice. And ice is death. You're a sergeant now. You didn't ask for it. Didn't earn it. Didn't want it. You woke up. And your officer didn't. So now you're in charge. That's how promotions work in Stalingrad. No medals, no speeches, no ceremony. Just fewer people ahead of you. You stand in a ruined apartment with 6 men staring at you. One's coughing blood. One has no boots. One hasn't spoken in 3 days. They wait for orders. You don't give any. Not yet. Because you're still trying to figure out what's real. You remember yesterday. You had a lieutenant. A voice you followed. He knew the map. Knew the codes. Knew how to keep you alive. Then a mortar landed 5 feet to the left. His legs went one way. The rest stayed behind. You didn't have time to look. You just grabbed his satchel, inside, half a chocolate bar, a list of positions, and a letter addressed to no one. It just said, "Tell them I tried." You folded it, put it in your coat, didn't speak. They promoted you on the spot. Not officially, not with paperwork, just with silence. Now it's your turn. You look at the map. It's torn, burned at the edges, smudged with blood and ash. Most of the streets it shows don't exist anymore, but you pretend they do, because that's your job now, pretending. Pretending the plan makes sense, pretending the route is safe, pretending you're not afraid. You say, "We move at dusk." They nod. That's all. No questions, no complaints. They trust you, not because you deserve it, because they have no one else. Later that night, one of them asks, "Was he a good officer?" You pause. Then you say, "Yes." Even though you barely knew him, even though he forgot your name. Because the truth doesn't help. Hope does. You move through the ruins in a column. You go first. That's what leaders do. The others follow like ghosts. Quiet. Worn. Ready. You reach a building marked as cleared. It's not. You lose 2 men in the first 5 minutes. One from a mine. The other from a German hiding in a closet with a knife. You kill him. Too late. The survivors look to you. You give them nothing. Because if you break now, it's over. So you keep walking. You find a spot to hold. Issue watches. Assign positions. Count rations. You're a sergeant now. You sleep last. Wake first. You haven't eaten in 2 days. Haven't washed in longer. Haven't cried at all. Not because you're strong. Because there's no time. You write something on a wall before you leave that position. 12 held here, 4 made it out. It's the only record that matters. You remember the ones who outranked you. The captain who bled out waiting for morphine that never came. The major who disappeared one night and no one went looking. The colonel who ordered a counterattack and then vanished behind a smoke cloud. Now it's your name on the list. Your breath in the morning frost. Your orders they follow until they stop. Because in this place, leadership isn't a rank. It's a sentence. You try to write a letter home. "Dear Mother, I've been promoted." You tear it up before finishing. Because there's nothing to celebrate. There's no ceremony. Just another hole to fill. Another body to step over. Another man to become. And when you're gone, the next guy won't get promoted. He'll just be alone. You don't run in Stalingrad, not because you're brave, because running gets you seen, and getting seen gets you killed. So you move slow, measured, like the ground might disappear beneath your feet at any second. And sometimes it does. You crawl through doorways. You duck under window frames. You hold your breath when crossing open streets. You never run, unless you have to. And when that moment comes, you run like the world is ending behind you, because sometimes it is. This is one of those times. It starts with the whistle. Faint. Sharp. Falling fast. You recognize it. Not a rifle. Not a machine gun. Artillery. Heavy. Big enough to kill a building. You don't look up. You just move. First, into the hallway. Then down the stairs. Boots slamming against concrete steps. No plan. Just instinct. The others follow. You hear them behind you yelling, coughing, stumbling. You don't stop. The building groans. Then comes the impact. The walls behind you vanish. Not break. Not crumble. vanish. The shockwave lifts you off your feet. You hit the floor and skid 5 meters. Your ears go silent. Dust fills your lungs. But your legs, they move. You run. Not a sprint. Not a jog. A mad, desperate animal scramble. Out the back. Through a ruined hallway. Across broken tiles and shattered glass. You trip. Hit the wall. Keep going. The sky opens again. Another shell incoming. You don't even hear the second one land. You feel it. A pressure in your chest like God punched you in the sternum. The floor collapses behind you. You don't turn around. You reach the edge of the building, a drop 2 meters down. You jump. Land hard. Ankle twist. Pain flashes through your leg. Doesn't matter. You limp run across the courtyard. Past bodies half buried in snow. Past a tank burned black and frozen into the ground. Another shell screams down. This one lands ahead. You dive. Hit the dirt. Cover your head. Debris rains down brick, metal, bone. You look up. The building you were in? Gone. Just smoke and dust now. A silhouette of where it used to be. You roll onto your back. Gasp. Cough. Spit black. Someone grabs your arm. It's the boy. The one from earlier. 17. Maybe. He pulls you up. Says something. You can't hear it. Your ears are still ringing. You both limp toward cover, a collapsed bus stop barely standing. You duck behind it. Sit. Shake. Breathe. Your hands are bleeding. Knees torn. Coat scorched. But you're alive. You look at the boy. He's missing a glove. His fingers are blue. He smiles at you. It's the first time you've seen someone smile in days. You almost laugh. Almost. Then you see the sky shift. You know what that means. They're not done. You stand. You run again. Toward the only building still standing. 3 stories. Windows shattered. Roof gone. It's not shelter. It's just not open air. That's enough. You push the door open. It's hanging from one hinge. Inside, rubble, smoke, heat. A woman sits in the corner. Civilian. Eyes wide. Mouth open. You say, "Move." She doesn't. You grab her arm. Drag her behind a concrete pillar. The boy follows. Then another man stumbles in, bleeding from the side. He collapses at your feet. You check him, still breathing. For now. You press a cloth to the wound, no morphine, no bandages, just pressure. You scream for help. No one comes. Because everyone is either dead, hiding, or praying they will be soon. You stay there for what feels like an hour, but it's 10 minutes. Then the shells stop, like someone flipped a switch. Silence. You wait. You wait longer. Then footsteps. Outside. Heavy. Deliberate. Boots. You raise your rifle. Look through the crack in the wall. 3 figures. German helmets. Rifles drawn. You don't hesitate. You fire once. The boy fires twice. The woman screams. The Germans hit the ground. One moves. You finish him. Silence returns. You reload. Your hands are shaking. Not from fear. From adrenaline. From exhaustion. From remembering what your legs just did. You sit down. Hard. The boy laughs again. Like he can't believe he's still breathing. You look at him. You say, "Don't run unless you have to." He nods. Then says, "I had to." You both laugh. Then cough. Then fall silent again. Outside, the city is quiet. You know it won't last. Soon the mortars will start. Or the tanks. or the screaming. But right now you ran and it worked. You beat the odds. You survived the kind of hell that eats men for breakfast. But you know the truth. In Stalingrad, you never want to run. Because when you're running, it means the ground's already gone. The cover's already shattered. The fire's already behind you. And real death, is just a step behind. So you crawl. You walk. You shuffle. But you never run. Unless you're willing to lose everything behind you. You start to notice the rats. Not just see them, notice them. The way they move. Where they go. When they vanish. Because rats in Stalingrad are more than pests. They're signs. And you've learned the hard way. If the rats are running, you should already be gone. You're sitting in a basement, knees pulled up, back against the boiler. No heat, no light. Just you and 4 others, silent as ghosts. The room smells like ash and wet brick. And the rats, they're here too. In the walls, in the shadows, in the spaces where men used to sleep. They don't fear you. Not anymore. They crawl over boots, past rifles, beneath corpses, bold, like they own the city now. And maybe they do. One scurries across your lap, fat, well fed. You flinch, but not much. You used to hate them. Now, they're part of the team. You've seen them pick clean a body in 2 nights. Strip a hand down to bone like it was nothing. They don't eat the whole thing. Just the soft parts. Lips, ears, fingers. Efficient. You once watched a man scream as they chewed his foot while he slept. He woke too late. Lost 2 toes. By morning, gangrene had the rest. No one pitied him. He should have kept his boots on. That's rule number 1. Never sleep with bare feet in this city. Not because of frostbite. Because of rats. They move through pipes and cracks. They know the buildings better than you do. They know where the warmth is, where the food is, where the dying are. And they always get there first. You see 2 of them now, near the far wall, sniffing, listening. Then they freeze, ears twitch, noses lift. And just like that they vanish, gone, into the floor. You don't ask why. You just grab your rifle, stand, signal the others. They follow without question, because you all know, when the rats leave, something's coming. You make it to the stairwell when the first shell hits. The basement ceiling implodes. The boiler ruptures. Flame, smoke, brick. If you'd waited 10 more seconds, you'd be part of the wall now. You don't look back. You keep moving. Upstairs the rats are gone. That's rare. They usually leave stragglers. The sick. The lazy. Not tonight. Not here. You take it as a message. You move through the building fast. Quiet. The others behind you. Past a dead man slumped in a chair, cheeks hollow, eyes missing. The rats took those days ago. You step over him. Outside, the snow's falling sideways. Wind like knives. But you don't hesitate. You follow where the rats didn't go, north. Toward a factory you think is still held by your side. Maybe. You reach the edge of the block. Then pause. You see one. A rat. Alone. Watching you from atop a broken statue. It doesn't move. Doesn't blink. Just stares. You stare back. It squeaks once. Then it's gone. The others move ahead, but you hesitate, because part of you thinks maybe they know something you don't. You reach the factory, or what's left of it, A few walls, one roof beam, blackened by fire. But there's warmth inside, and voices. Yours. You enter. The squad ahead of you waves. They've been waiting. You made it. But the rats didn't come here. That bothers you. You sit. Catch your breath. One of the men offers you food. You accept. Half a potato boiled in something you'd rather not identify. You eat fast. Grateful. Then sleep. Not long. Just an hour. You wake to scratching. Soft. Subtle. You smile. They're back. In the ceiling. In the vents. In the dark. Your little informants. You relax. Because if the rats came back, maybe this place is safe. You drift again. Then it hits you. You haven't seen any rats near the river. Ever. Not once. You ask someone why. He shrugs. Too cold, he says. But you know better. You've seen rats chew through frozen meat, sleep in ash piles, swim in blood. They're not afraid of cold. So why not the river? You think maybe they hear something under the ice. Something wrong. Maybe they understand this city better than you ever will. Not just its death, but its rhythm. Its warnings. The rats don't make speeches. They don't wear uniforms. They don't care who wins. They only care about one thing. What survives. You decide to trust them. From now on, you'll watch the corners, the cracks, the walls. And if the rats leave again, you'll be right behind them. Because they don't think. They don't fear. They just know what's coming, where it's coming from, and how to avoid it. They were here before the shelling, before the uniforms, before the city turned into a graveyard. And they'll be here long after. So, you follow their path. Because in Stalingrad, rats don't lie. They run, they feed, they live. And if you're smart, you'll do the same. At first you waited. You believed what they told you. That more men were coming. That help was on the way. That you just had to hold out a little longer. You repeated it like a prayer. They'll send someone. They have to. That was months ago. Now, you don't wait anymore, because in Stalingrad, reinforcements are a myth. A bedtime story told to men with no more bullets. You're sitting in what used to be a library. All the books have been burned. Not out of malice. Out of necessity. They burn hot. Not long. Just enough to get through one more hour of cold. Someone once told you the name of the building. Central People's Lending Hall. Now, it's just position 12C, a waypoint on a map that doesn't matter anymore. You're posted at the second floor window, what's left of it. The others sit in silence behind you. 5 of you now, and there used to be 13. The whispers started 2 weeks ago. Divisions pushing forward. Relief columns spotted on the outskirts. Fresh troops coming in. You believed in it, you packed your gear. You tightened your boots. Then, nothing. No trucks. No faces. No friendly voices echoing down ruined streets. Just more shells. More frost. More silence. You stopped asking after that. One of the younger men still believes. He says, they'll be here by New Year. It's February. You let him talk. Because it's better than watching him fall apart. You remember your own moment when the hope snapped. You were on the roof of a hospital ruin, watching the horizon with field glasses someone left behind. You saw movement, dozens of figures, coming through the trees. You called it out. You told the others to get ready, to wave something, to signal. They lit a flare. red. It arced into the sky like a desperate scream. The figures kept coming. Then, gunfire. Heavy. German. You realised too late. They weren't reinforcements. They were the reason you needed them. You lost 3 good men that night. 1 bled out in the stairwell. 1 never came down from the roof. The last you don't even know. Gone. No body. No goodbye. Just gone. After that, you stopped watching the horizon. You stopped listening to the radio too. It's broken anyway. Or jammed. All it does now is spit static and whispers. Sometimes a voice comes through. Always the same message. Hold your positions. Reinforcements are on their way. Glory to the motherland. You shut it off. Because the voice doesn't see what you see. It doesn't smell the rot in the stairwell. Doesn't hear the crows picking at corpses. Doesn't sleep next to frozen friends. The voice isn't real. What's real is this room, this rifle. These boots worn to thread. You take inventory every morning. 1 grenade, 12 rounds, half a loaf of bread, no water. You wrote help in the snow once. Big letters, just in case. Next morning, it was gone. Wind, maybe, or someone stepping over it. You didn't write it again. You see the same look in the other's eyes now. Not fear, not even anger. Just blank. As if their faces are waiting for new instructions that never come. The boy with the wounded hand. He asks every day, think they'll rotate us out soon? You lie. You say, yes. Because what else can you say? You tried the truth once. He cried all night. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just stared at the door like someone was going to walk through it. No one did. You found him 2 days later. He'd wandered into the courtyard during a shelling. He wasn't looking for the enemy. He was looking for the truck that was never coming. You didn't even bury him. You couldn't. The ground was too hard and you were too tired. Now, when someone dies, you just move their body out of the way. That's how far the lie has carried you. From help is coming to will be relieved. To just get them out of the doorway. There's a part of you that still wants to believe. A flicker. You see a bird land on a windowsill and wonder if it's carrying a message. You hear footsteps outside and think, maybe. But it's never who you hope it is. It's always who you fear. You wipe your rifle clean again. Not because it needs it. Because it gives your hand something to do. You hear one of the others humming. A lullaby, maybe. Or a march. You don't tell him to stop. You just listen. Because it's the only sound in the world that doesn't lie. There's nothing left to expect now. No reinforcements. No cavalry. No end in sight. Only this room. This war. And the quiet understanding between everyone still breathing. No one is coming. And yet, you stay. Not for hope. Not for orders. Not for glory. Just for the man next to you. Because even if help never arrives, you're still here. And that has to mean something. You wake up, and it's snowing. You fall asleep, and it's still snowing. It snows during the shellings, during the silence, during the screaming. The snow never stops. It's not the soft kind, not the kind from postcards or memories. This snow is sharp, dry, angry. It falls sideways, upwards, in circles. It doesn't land, it claims. You brush it off your coat, and 10 seconds later it's back. A white sheet over everything. The bricks, the bodies, the blood. You used to notice it. Now you just accept it. The snow is part of you. You used to think it would help. Cover your movement. Hide your position. Soften the sound of your steps. But the snow is loud. It squeaks, crunches, betrays you. You once stepped on a drift that looked solid. It wasn't. You dropped into a cellar so fast you didn't have time to scream. Broke 2 ribs. Cracked your rifle stock. Nearly shot yourself on the way down. It took 3 hours to climb out. The snow had covered your tracks by then. The others didn't even know you were gone. They wouldn't have found you. No one does, because the snow doesn't just fall. It erases names, faces, footprints, stories. You wrote a message in it once, to someone behind you. Wait for me. 10 minutes later it was gone. They didn't wait. Now you don't write anything anymore. No goodbyes. No signs. If someone's not close enough to hear your breath, they might as well be dead. The snow doesn't care. It falls on the dead just like it falls on you. Blankets them. Gives them a kind of peace you don't have. Sometimes you envy them for it. You found a man yesterday, frozen stiff, eyes open, mouth full of snow, like the sky had reached down and silenced him. You pulled his coat tighter around him, not out of kindness, just habit. Then you took his boots. They were better than yours. You didn't need them anymore. You walked away, leaving nothing but a shallow impression where he used to be. The wind had already started covering it. You stop thinking about days. You only think in terms of snow. Heavy snow. Light snow. Snow thick enough to hide bodies. Thin enough to see the boots sticking out. You remember when the snow first started? October. It was clean then. Bright. Almost beautiful. Now it's grey. Red in places. Black where the fires were. It doesn't melt. It packs itself into corners. Into wounds. Into your gloves. You haven't felt your fingers since January. They're not numb anymore. They're just gone. You keep moving them anyway. Because if they stop, they might snap off. You once saw a man lose 3 fingers in his sleep. He tucked his hands under his arms. Too tight. Too long. Woke up with one hand. The rest? Still curled up, stuck inside the sleeve of his coat. He laughed when he saw it. Laughed until he cried. Then he stopped talking for good. The snow took him too. Buried him where he sat. You marked the spot with a stick. It was gone by morning. The snow never stops, even when the guns do. Even when the sky is quiet, even when the last shell falls and the last scream fades, the snow keeps falling. Relentless, patient, final. You stare out from a window now. What's left of one? You see the street. White. Empty. But it's not empty. It just looks that way. Because everything has been claimed. The vehicles, the men, the machines, even the signs on the buildings, they're just bumps now. Snow-covered relics of a city that used to breathe. You see a figure, far off, walking, or limping, or maybe just standing still, the wind pushing against him like a wave. You blink and he's gone. Maybe he was never there. Maybe he's just another trick of the frost. The others call you over. Time to move. You check your gear. Your rifle's frozen again. You slap the bolt loose. It whines. You pretend not to hear it. Your boots are cracking. You wrap twine around them. Good enough. You leave the building. Step into the snow. It welcomes you like it always does. No warmth. No softness. Just silence. And wait. You walk forward, following the trail the others have made. But even as you step, you know within minutes this too will vanish. The snow will cover it, just like it covers everything else. And someday, someone might walk this same path, right over your bones, never knowing. Because in Stalingrad there are no headstones, only drifts, and the snow never stops falling. You see him in the scope, grey helmet, wool coat, frost clinging to his sleeves. He's not running, not hiding, just standing, leaning against a brick wall, rifle across his knees. He doesn't know you're watching. You exhale, finger on the trigger, heartbeat steady, one shot. That's all it would take. You've taken it before, many times, but not yet, because something's off. He's not scanning the street, not covering his squad. He's not doing anything tactical. He's just there, breathing, staring at the sky like he forgot where he was. You lower the rifle an inch, and for a second you forget what side you're on. Because he looks like you. Same sunken eyes, same frozen cheeks, same hands red, swollen, stiff. You imagine swapping coats. Would you even notice the difference? Maybe not. Maybe that's the point. You used to hate them. The Germans, the fascists. Every story you heard made them monsters. Child killers, torchbearers, steel-eyed fanatics. Then you met one. Not on purpose. It was a warehouse. Nightfall. You were both scavenging, you from the south door, him from the west. You rounded a corner and froze. So did he. 2 rifles. 2 sets of eyes. 2 exhausted bodies that didn't want to be there. Neither of you fired. You just stared. You remember how young he looked. Couldn't have been older than your brother. He blinked, tightened his grip. You raised your hand slowly, palm out. Not surrender. Just pause. He didn't lower the rifle. But he didn't raise it either. You both backed away. Silent. Careful. You never told anyone. You should have killed him. That's what they would have said. But you couldn't. Because in that moment, he wasn't the German. He was just another man who didn't want to die in a pile of bricks and smoke. You see it more often now. The hesitation. The tiredness. The hunger. Sometimes you hear them talking at night. Across the street in buildings just like yours. Voices in a language you only half understand. But the meaning is clear. Cold. Pain. Loss. They're talking about the same things you are. Food, family, home. You saw one dragging a wounded comrade once. Not for cover. Just closer to a fire. You didn't shoot. He didn't see you. But still you let it happen. You think maybe he would have done the same. Not out of mercy. Out of exhaustion. Because there's only so much killing a man can do before it empties him. You hear stories of what they've done, and you've seen it too. Villages burned, prisoners shot, children orphaned. You don't forget those things. But you can't ignore what's in front of you. A figure on the other side of the street, just trying to survive the same hell, same hunger, same fear, same frostbite. You raise the rifle again, look through the scope. The German is still there. He's lit a cigarette, hands shaking, face pale. He looks around, not for targets, for hope. There's none to be found. You don't pull the trigger. Not yet. You just watch. Because here's the truth you've come to understand, even if no one says it. In Stalingrad, the uniform doesn't matter. Not always. Underneath the steel helmet, the frozen coat, the dirt-streaked face, He's just a man, same as you, and he won't last much longer either. None of you will. You lower the rifle again. Sit back. No shot today. Not because you're weak, because you're tired. And because sometimes the only thing separating life from death is one man deciding not to pull the trigger. You wake up and you don't know if it's morning. You don't know if it's Monday or Thursday, or if it matters at all. You ask the man next to you, "What day is it?" He shrugs. He doesn't know either. You both laugh, but it's not joy. It's nerves, fatigue, insanity with a soft edge. You used to know what day it was, back before the city turned to ash, back when the calendar still hung crooked on the kitchen wall, when the week meant something. Monday, work. Friday, breadline. Sunday, rest. Now, every day is the same. Grey sky, snowfall, hunger. You could call it Tuesday. You could call it a lifetime. No one would argue. You remember New Year's. Or at least you think you do. Someone tried to mark the occasion. They carved a 1943 into a wood beam with a bayonet. Spelled it wrong. No one corrected him. You all just stared at the numbers, trying to believe they were real. Trying to believe you were still in time, instead of outside of it. Because that's how it feels here. Like the clocks gave up. Like the sun stopped trying. You tried keeping a journal. At first, marking the days. October 7th. Ration cut. Still holding West Quarter. October 10th. Shelling all night. No sleep. October 12th. You stopped writing. Not because you ran out of ink. Because every page looked the same. Every day hurt the same. Every breath felt borrowed. You thought maybe you'd pick it back up. But you never did. Now the notebook is gone. Burned, maybe. Or stolen. Or buried under rubble like everything else. You sit on the floor of a church basement. Crosses overhead. Dust in the air. Someone's coughing in the corner. No hymns. No sermons. Just the slow creak of the roof when the wind hits. A man next to you asks, "Think it's still January?" You say, "Maybe." He says, "Feels like March." You nod. But really, it feels like nothing. Like time stopped somewhere weeks ago. And now you're just sitting in its echo. You look at your hands. They're not yours anymore. Calloused. Frostbitten. One nail turning black. You think about how fast that happened. A week? A month? You don't know. You remember a letter from home. It said, "We'll celebrate when you return." You smiled when you read it, then paused, because you had no idea what day they wrote it, or if they were still alive, or if they ever were. Time is distance now, and distance is death. You stand, stretch, check your rifle. That still works. At least you think it does. Someone asks what time it is. Another man answers, same as always. They all nod. Because they know. Time here isn't measured in hours. It's measured in shifts, in shots, in bodies that used to breathe and now don't. You once marked the wall with scratches, one for each day, until you ran out of space. Now that wall is rubble. You haven't tried again. Someone claims it's Wednesday. You accept it. Someone else says it's February 5th. No one argues. You sit in the dark. You close your eyes. You think about your birthday. It's either in 2 weeks or it was 2 weeks ago. You can't remember. You whisper the date to yourself. Once. Twice. Nothing stirs. You say your own name. just to make sure you still recognize it. It sounds strange, like it belongs to someone else. Maybe it does. You lie back, stare at the ceiling. You listen to the sound of breathing. Yours, theirs, the buildings. It all blends together. No clocks, no bells, no alarms, just survival. And in this place, that's the only time that matters. You close your eyes again. Maybe tomorrow the snow will fall softer. Maybe not. You won't know either way. Because here, in Stalingrad, you don't count the days. You survive them. You stop noticing it at first. Then it hits you hard. The stench. It's everywhere. In your coat. In your rifle. In your skin. Rot. Smoke. Piss. Blood. You try to remember what clean smells like. Soap. Fresh bread. Rain on concrete. You can't. Not anymore. Because in Stalingrad, nothing smells clean. Not the men. Not the buildings. Not even the wind. Especially not the wind. It carries the worst of it. Burned wool, charred flesh, open wounds. You breathe shallow now, through your mouth. Even then, it coats your tongue. Metallic, sour, old, like breathing in rust. You remember when you used to wash? Not long ago. You found a cracked porcelain sink in a ruined apartment. Turned the tap. Nothing. But a pot on the stove held melted snow. You dipped your fingers in, splashed it across your face. The water turned black instantly. You scrubbed harder, kept going until your skin burned, but it didn't help. The smell stayed, like it was inside you now, not on you. You stripped your coat once, tried to shake out the filth. Clouds of ash poured off it like dust from a forgotten rug. You held your breath, coughed anyway. There's no laundry here, no basins, no soap. Just damp rags and freezing fingers. You wear the same pair of socks for 3 weeks. They fuse to your feet. You pull them off one night and some skin comes with them. You don't scream, you just wrap it in cloth and keep going. Your uniform smells like blood that's gone stale. Not fresh blood that's sharp, fast, copper. This is different. Thick. Clotted. Familiar. You've started recognizing whose it is. That stain near your elbow? Mikhail. The smear across your collar? Maybe Petya. You're not sure anymore. You tried burning your shirt once, just to get rid of the smell. It lit for a second, then died. Too damp. Too full of sweat and misery. You sleep on straw now. Rotten straw stolen from the horse cart. It smells like mould and manure, but it's warm. You press your nose to the sleeve of your coat. It's sour, like meat gone bad. You don't flinch. You've smelled worse. You remember the medic's tent, or what used to be one. A basement, flooded, filled with bodies. Some alive. Most not. No windows. One lamp. You volunteered to help once. Lasted 7 minutes. The smell. It hit you like a wall. Sweet somehow. Like rotting fruit soaked in blood. You threw up in the stairwell. Twice. Then you sat in the snow, face in your hands, gagging until your throat bled. You told them you couldn't go back in. They didn't blame you, because they'd all done the same. You think of the Germans. You wonder if they smell like this too. You caught one once, barely alive. He reeked, same as you. You almost pitied him, until he tried to bite you. You slammed the butt of your rifle into his mouth. Hard. The stench of blood and spit and rot mixed together made your eyes water. You left him where he fell. Didn't look back. You used to sniff your food. Check it. Test it. Now you don't bother. If it doesn't move, you eat it, even if it smells like oil or powder or feet. Someone gave you a piece of dried meat yesterday. No idea what kind. You chewed slowly. It tasted like a belt, but it was warm and it stayed down. That's all that matters now. You found a bar of soap once, still wrapped. You almost cried. You broke it in half and carried your piece in a sock. Rubbed it on your hands. No water. Didn't matter. Just the feel of it, smooth, foreign, forbidden. You smelled your hands for hours, like lavender mixed with coal. The others noticed. One asked for a piece. You shared it. They sniffed it too, passed it around like a relic. The next day it was gone, stolen or lost or burned. You never saw it again. You still think about it, because for a moment you remembered what clean meant. Not just soap, safety, warmth, touch without fear. You sit now in a room with 12 other men, no windows, one candle. The air is thick, feet, gun oil, wet wool. You all reek, but no one complains. You've stopped pretending. You don't cover your mouth when you cough. You don't hide when you relieve yourself. You don't apologize when the stink. Because in Stalingrad, you're not trying to be clean. You're trying to stay alive. And filth? Filth is proof you're still here. Still moving. Still breathing. Still fighting. Because the clean ones, they're long gone. You hear the whistle before you hear the blast. High. Falling. Sharp. You know what it means? You don't even look up. You just move. Left. Right. Anywhere. There's no right answer. No smart decision. Only movement. Because a shell doesn't care who you are. It doesn't remember what you've done, or how long you've been here, or what you are planning next. A shell is blind, deaf, dumb. It simply falls, and whatever's there when it lands dies. You've seen it, over and over. You remember Ivan, big guy, joked too much, carried extra food in his boots. A shell hit 20 meters behind him. Didn't even touch him, just lifted him, threw him sideways like a doll. He hit the wall head first, gone before he hit the floor. You turned to look and he was already just not there anymore. No chance to say anything, just red on the bricks and steam in the cold. You remember another time. A boy, no name, just kid. He was new, terrified, clung to your coat like a shadow. You told him, "Don't move unless I say." He nodded. Then the shell came. Not near, not even close. But it hit the corner of a building, loosened the bricks. A piece the size of your fist fell 2 floors, caught him on the back of the neck, snapped him in half. He didn't make a sound, just dropped, like a puppet with the strings cut. You stood over him for 10 full seconds. Couldn't believe it. Then someone shouted and you moved on. Because what else could you do? You learned not to stay still, but you also learned not to run too fast. Running draws attention. Running means noise, means exposed corners, means panic, and panic is the shell's favourite target. You watch others make the mistake. They hear the whistle and bolt. Sometimes they make it. Sometimes they don't. You once found a man with no legs still clutching his rifle. The rest of his squad had made it. He tripped, took the full force, He didn't scream. You think maybe he didn't have time. You sit now in a basement, walls cracked, ceiling shifting. A shell hit 2 buildings down 10 minutes ago. The dust still hangs in the air like a question. No one talks, because we all know that one was for someone else. The next one might be for you. You wonder who decides. You hear people talk about luck, about fate, about God, but none of those things make sense here. Because shells don't pick their targets. They don't aim. They don't hate. They fall. And if you happen to be standing where they land, that's it. You're gone. No lesson, no punishment, no meaning. Just absence. 1 second, blood in your veins. The next, nothing. You've come to respect the shell. Not fear, not worship, respect. Because it reminds you, no matter how careful you are, how smart, how fast, you're always one sound away from becoming memory. Or worse, being forgotten completely. There's a crater outside your post now, 6 feet wide, 3 feet deep. Smoke still rises from it sometimes. You walk past it every day, and every day you think, if I'd gone out 5 minutes earlier, but you didn't. So you're still here. That's all survival is now. A list of close calls. A story of the times death almost remembered your name and didn't. You lie back. The ground vibrates. Another barrage starts. The man next to you tightens his grip on his helmet. You don't move, because you've learned the rhythm. If it's coming for you, you won't outrun it. If it's not, you don't waste your breath. The building shakes. Dust falls. Someone yells. You keep your eyes closed. Breathe slowly. The whistle comes again. And this time, you don't flinch. Because you understand. Shells have no memory. They don't know who you are. They don't care who you were. They don't hesitate. And if this one's for you, there's nothing left to say anyway. You wake up colder than usual. That's the first clue. You sit up, rub your arms, stamp your feet. Nothing helps. You check the stove. Empty. Dead cold. You don't even bother opening the door. You know what you'll find. No fire. No embers. No smoke. Just ashes. And you already know why. The firewood is gone. All of it. The others sit against the wall, wrapped in blankets that don't insulate anymore. No one says it, but everyone feels it. This is what it means when the warmth runs out. You used to have a system. Boxes. Chairs. Broken beams from the second floor. Anything would. Burned slow if you were careful. Fast if you were desperate. You used to take turns breaking up the furniture. Used to argue about what should go first. Not the dresser that one's solid. Use the bookshelf. It's lighter. That was back in December. Back when you still had things. Now you're down to concrete walls and frozen fabric. You check the corner, the wood pile. There's 1 stick left. Half a leg from a broken chair. You stare at it like it might multiply if you wait long enough. It doesn't. You pick it up. Weigh it in your hands. It's soft. Cracked. Barely dry. Won't burn more than 20 minutes. But it's all you've got. You break it in 2. Give half to the others. You take your part to the stove. Light a match. It catches barely. The flame shivers like it's cold too. You cup your hands around it. Blow gently. It glows orange for a second. Then fades. You don't cry. You don't even sigh. You just sit back and let the cold crawl into your bones. because this is what the end of firewood feels like. It's not dramatic. It's not sudden. It's quiet, like forgetting. You used to go scavenging for wood. You and another man, Anton. He had good instincts. Could find fuel where no one else even looked. Bedposts, stair rails, cabinet doors buried under rubble. You found a piano once. He said, "We can't burn that." You said, "Why not?" He didn't answer. Just stared at it for a while. Then broke off the legs. You burned them that night. He was right. It felt wrong, but warm. That was 2 months ago. Anton's gone now. Last you saw him, he was curled up near the stove, not moving. Eyes open. Hands black. You didn't touch him. You just moved him gently to the side and lit what wood was left. You promised yourself you wouldn't let it come to that. But now the firewood is gone, and the cold is louder than ever. You wrap yourself tighter in your coat. You press your fingers under your arms. Try to find warmth inside yourself. There's none left. The walls are sweating frost. The ceiling drips in slow, sharp icicles. Your breath comes out in clouds, thick, heavy, hopeless. You hear a sound behind you, scraping. One of the others has pulled up a floorboard. You don't stop him, because that's where you are now. The floor is the last thing between you and the street below, and you're tearing it apart. For minutes of heat. For a little crackle in the dark, he hands you a plank. You nod, break it across your knee. The pain distracts you from the cold. You feed the pieces into the stove. Another match. The flame flares brighter this time. You all move closer. 5 of you now, knees touching, eyes hollow. No one speaks. The fire lasts 15 minutes. Longer than you thought. Long enough to remember what warmth felt like. Then it dies. You listen to the last hiss of smoke. You watch the light fade into black. Someone says that was the last match. You all hear it. No one reacts. Because matches don't matter if there's nothing to burn. You tried coal once. Didn't work. Too wet. Too buried. Someone tried burning cloth. Just made smoke. Choked a man. You once saw a guy burn a book. Held it like it hurt him. Page by page. Letter by letter. Until nothing was left but ash and silence. Now you wonder if you'll burn your coat. If it gets cold enough. If you get desperate enough. You know what comes next. Cold makes you tired. Tired makes you sleep. And sleeping in the cold. That's death, dressed in comfort. So you fight it. You move your fingers, stomp your feet. Talk to no one just to hear yourself. And still the cold wins. You stare at the window, frosted, cracked, snow beyond. You think, maybe you'll go outside. Walk. Move until you can't. Find a door. Or a beam. Something. Anything that might burn. But deep down you know, there's nothing left. The city's already been fed. The fire has eaten every tree, every post, every fence, even the dead. And now it's come for you. Not with flames, with cold. Because that's how it ends here. Not in gunfire, not in screams. Just in silence, stillness. A room with no firewood left to burn. At first they called for you. Every time you came back with supplies. Every time you climbed out of the rubble. Every time you woke up. Hey, you're back. Good to see you, man. You alive again? Laughter. Relief. A pat on the back. That was before the weeks stacked up like bodies. Now they don't call you anything. Not your name. Not your rank. Not even you. They just look at you. Sometimes they nod. Sometimes they don't. And when they talk about you, they say he. He's still breathing. He took the south stairwell. He hasn't eaten today. Not your name. Just he. Like a ghost in the corner of their eye. You haven't heard your name in 5 days. Maybe more. You tried to say it aloud yesterday. Just to remind yourself. It sounded foreign. Heavy in your mouth. Like someone else's word. You whispered it into your coat sleeve. Nothing happened. No one turned around. No one answered back. You didn't expect them to. Because here in Stalingrad, names don't survive long. They get buried. Under rubble. Under silence. Under the weight of too many men dying too close together. You remember when Kolya died? Everyone said his name for hours. Killed Kolya. Kolya didn't make it. Kolya took the blast. It echoed. Filled the room like steam. Then the next man died. And the next. And Kolya? He became that guy from the corner. Just another hole in the line. The name faded. You wrote it once. On the wall. Just Kolya with a piece of charcoal. 2 days later, snow covered it. Someone spit on the wall. You didn't rewrite it. You forgot the names of 2 men in your squad. You knew them in October. Laughed with them in November. Now, you just know their boots. The way one limps. The way the other snores. You haven't asked their names again. It's easier that way. No name. No weight. No grief when they disappear. You think maybe this is how memory dies. Not all at once. Just piece by piece. Like frostbite on a face. First the nose. Then the ears. Then the part that made you, you. You used to carry letters in your coat. Your name written on them. Twice. Top left corner. Bottom of the page. Now they're gone. Burned. Lost. Soaked through in melted snow. You don't remember who they were from anymore. Someone who knew your name. Someone who might still be saying it far away, but not here. Not now. You sit with the others. 8 of you in the cellar. 1 coughs. 1 hums. The rest sit quiet. No one speaks your name. You drop a can of food. No one says, hey, careful, name. They just look at the can. You pick it up. You nod. They nod. That's communication now. You could disappear tomorrow, and someone would say, he didn't come back. Not, where's Alex? Not, did you see Dmitri? Just he. Then a shrug. A minute of silence. Then back to rationing. Because your name was only ever useful when you could do something. Shoot. Cook. Dig. Carry. Now? Now you're just another figure in a coat. Another breathing mouth in a city where breath fogs the air and vanishes just as fast. You once carved your name into a piece of wood. Part of a crate you carried for 3 days. Still had splinters in your palm when you dropped it. The crate's gone now. Probably burned. Probably smoked away into the sky with the rest of you. Sometimes in dreams your mother says your name. Soft. Warm. Real. You wake up choking. Because even in sleep it hurts to hear it again. Hurts to know you used to be someone. Used to have a name that meant more than a sound. Now? Now you're just a shadow moving through frost and ash. You stop saying your name out loud because no one says it back. You like to think you'd be brave. That if you were here, you'd hold the line. Watch the corners. Do what needed doing. You think maybe you'd fight hard. That you'd look fear in the eye and not blink. But Stalingrad doesn't care what you think. It cares how you move, what you eat, how long you can go without sleep, without light, without hope. You wouldn't last a day, not because you're weak, but because this place doesn't care how strong you are. It breaks everyone. Fast or slow doesn't matter. The first thing to go is the hunger, not in your stomach, in your eyes. The way you look at food, at warmth, at people. You stop expecting things. You stop thinking you'll make it to nightfall. You stop thinking you'll even make it to noon. You just go, step by step, corner to corner, hour to hour. That's all Stalingrad is, a slow countdown. You wouldn't last a day because you'd hesitate. When the whistle comes, when the building cracks, when the man next to you stops breathing, you'd look, you'd wonder, you'd freeze, and freezing gets you killed. You wouldn't last because you'd panic when the rats run, because you'd try to sleep through the cold, because you'd think it's okay to speak above a whisper, because you'd hold on to the rules of wherever you came from. And those rules don't work here. Here, kindness gets you shot. Pity gets you followed. Hope gets you exposed. You think you'd know who the enemy is. You wouldn't. Not in the dark. Not with uniforms frozen over, smeared in blood, burned black. Not when they're crawling just like you. Starving just like you. You wouldn't last because you count on orders. And no one gives orders here anymore. The officers are dead. The radios are dead. The clocks are dead. All that's left is instinct. And if you don't have it, you're done. You wouldn't last because the snow would lie to you. It looks soft. It's not. It's teeth and silence and cold that bites through to the bone. It covers the holes you fall into. It hides the wires that rip you apart. It muffles the sound of dying so well you think it's peaceful. It isn't. You wouldn't last because you'd still be human. You'd still want to help. Still want to understand. Still want to go home. And in Stalingrad? Those are luxuries you can't afford. You kill. You eat. You sleep where you fall. You burn memories just to stay alive another hour. And even then, it might not be enough. You wouldn't last a day, not because you're soft, but because you're still you. And this place turns you into something else. Not a soldier, not a killer, just a survivor. And even that doesn't last long. You close your eyes. You're not in Stalingrad anymore. You're back in your room, warm, still, safe. You can hear your breath again. You can feel your fingers. But now you know. Now you understand what it really meant to be there. What it meant to be just one body in a city of ghosts. One heartbeat in a place that tried to silence all of them. You wouldn't last a day. And that's okay. Because those who did, they were never the same again. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. If this story moved you, subscribe. It helps us keep telling them. And wherever you are, breathe deep. Be warm. Remember the names. Because someone once froze to death in a city of fire, so we wouldn't forget. Good night.